Star Wars! Hello and welcome to Draconian Props. My name is Adam and today I'd like to talk about how I made this fully 3D printed Stormtrooper helmet from the original Star Wars trilogy. Now my boss asked me to make a full suit of Stormtrooper armour including the E11 blaster to go on display in our office. And today we're just going to start off by talking about the helmet. Now we're all big Star Wars fans at the office and we do work at a video production company, so let's see if I can make a Stormtrooper helmet and video that's worthy of impressing the team. So without further ado, let's get straight into the build. So the files that I'm using for this build are GalacticArmory's Rogue One Stormtrooper files. They're very easy to work with, they print really nicely, and the main helmet is split into 3 different sections. So if we go into Mesh Mixer here, you can see we've got the dome, we've got the front, and we've got the back. Now the details are also separated if you'd like to print those separately. I wanted to resin print these, so I opted for the versions of the helmet which have the details separate. But you can actually use the files with the details built into the model if you prefer. And if you take a look inside the front of the model, there's holes in between the teeth which we can use for ventilation, and they actually have slots built into the model to allow the lenses to just push fit in there. And that becomes really handy if you need to take the lenses out for any reason, and you can attach them without the need of any glue. So if we pull up my head scan here, yes, this is really creepy and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but it's a really handy tool to have. It makes scaling helmets really easy and you can check the sizing before you send anything to print. Now if you don't have a head scan of yourself, don't worry, GalacticArmory also do include a sizing ring which you can print for a really low amount of materials and check that you can get your head through the thinnest part of the model without having to print the entire model and potentially wasting a lot of materials. So if we put all the details back here, you can see that 100% scale seems to fit my helmet pretty nicely, and that's exactly the scale that I printed this helmet in. So these parts were all printed using Orca Slicer, which I found out recently actually has multi-plate slicing. So I've been using Cura for about 1.5 years now, and I've recently switched over to Orca Slicer, and the multi-plate slicing is an absolute game changer. Check it out. So these are how I printed each of the parts. I used a 0.2mm layer height, I used 4 loops, and I used tree supports. I know there's a big debate on whether tree supports and standard supports are better. I just find better look using tree supports, so that's what I went with. Overall, the helmet used about 1.5 rolls of filament in total. You can probably get that down a little bit more if you play around with the settings. So once all of the pieces were printed, I welded them together using a soldering iron, and I filled in all of the gaps and seams with some body filler. And now I did do this off camera because it was quite fiddly, but here's some pictures of what I did here. Now it's time for sanding.
I don't like sand.
Now I went over the full helmet using a mouse sander at 80 grit. Now this is a really good way to knock down those layer lines fast, and you can also use the pointed tip to get into those hard to reach areas of the model with the mouse sander. Now please be careful when using a mouse sander. Always wear a respirator and don't go over the same spot over and over again for too long, because the friction from the mouse sander can actually cause the PLA to heat up and potentially warp, which is not what you want. And once I was happy with how the helmet was looking at 80 grit, I used a mix of some sandpaper and sanding sticks to sand the details and crevices with the same 80 grit that I just couldn't reach with the mouse sander. Now remember to sand underneath the helmet as well, because this will be visible on the final product. Even if you want to add something like a neck seal here, I would still recommend sanding underneath. And you really want to take your time with this process, because the smoother you get the build sanded at this point, the better the overall outcome will be. Now my tip will be, learn to love sanding. If you're doing any sort of prop making, you're going to be sanding a lot. So you just kind of have to get used to it and learn to love the process. Liar! Because if not, you're very likely to look at some parts after you finish the helmet and really regret not doing it. So just take your time sanding. And when this part is done, you want to give the helmet a quick rinse with some soapy water, and this just gets rid of any sanding dust that may have built up in the gaps or on the surface. Otherwise, if you apply any filler primer or paint to it, that dust will accumulate underneath. Then I covered the helmet in 3 even coats of filler primer from Halfords in the UK, which I find lays down nice and thick and sands really well too. I left around 20 to 25 minutes between the coats. The first coat was like a tack coat, so that went on very lightly, and the second and third coats could be a little heavier to really fill in those gaps. And I repeated the entire process using 120 grit all the way up to 240 grit using the mouse sander and sanding sticks to get a really nice smooth finish ready for the next step. Now ideally, I'd say when you think you're done with this step, just go over it one more time. Next, we're going to give the helmet a few thin coats of UV resin from Sunlu. This acts as a filler and is extremely easy to sand smooth. Now, don't be like me, use gloves, a respirator and UV goggles just are not enough. So I applied the resin using a small brush which gave me a lot more control, and cured the resin using a UV lamp. This hardens the resin and allows you to sand it really easily. Some people like to cure the resin and then sand it so they know exactly which areas they've worked on, but I just prefer to get all of the resin coating done in one pass. And you might also find that you need to repeat this process a couple of times too. Now once the helmet had been carefully coated all the way around, I wiped the helmet with some isopropyl alcohol, which stops the residue from the UV resin getting on your skin and leaves a cured layer of resin at the surface ready to be sanded. The resin coat was then sanded at a 320 grit, just using sandpaper and sanding sticks because I didn't have any 320 grit sanding pads for the mouse sander, but I quite wanted to have a bit more control over it, so I just hand sanded at that point. And once you've got a really nice smooth surface by the end, and you're happy with how smooth the helmet is, that means that we're ready for the painting process. So I actually gave this helmet a base coat of some cheap silver spray paints that I had lying around, mainly on the front as I only had a small amount of the silver spray paint left. And this is all because of a weathering technique that I've been wanting to try for a while. So I've had this bottle of liquid latex for just sitting there for around about a year now. I think it was from last Halloween, but now it's time to put it to some good use. I applied the liquid latex over the silver areas of the helmet with a toothpick over parts that I feel like will be chipped in battle. This acts like a liquid mask for the silver areas. Once everything had set nicely, I gave the helmet a really nice looking gloss white top coat using a Rust-Oleum white gloss spray paint. I masked off the white areas, being careful not to remove any of the liquid latex, and used some Rust-Oleum dark grey gloss spray paint on the square sections at the front, these bits right here, before masking those off and painting the brim above the eyes in a nice gloss black by once again Rust-Oleum. And now whilst that cures, I want to talk about the details for the helmet. So as I mentioned earlier, these parts were printed in resin using Reese's resin printer, and honestly they turned out so well that the only sanding really needed for them was to remove some of the support underneath. The chin and aerators were painted in the same gloss black as the brim, whilst the vents and ear details were painted in the same dark grey. Honestly, I don't even think I really needed to paint the details for the side, but I just kind of wanted to get the exact same grey so it matched across the whole helmet. Now that the paint is cured nicely, I removed the masking tape and used 5-minute epoxy to glue the details in place, and I was really starting to like how this thing was turning out. And then we had our base all set for the weathering process. And here you can see the effect of removing the liquid latex and revealing the metallic silver base coat. Now I really do believe that this is the best way to achieve the chipped paint look on something metallic, as that's exactly what the paint is. It's the top layer of paint that's been removed to reveal the metallic paint underneath. You really can't get more authentic than this. And for the rest of the helmet's weathering, I used both a black and brown wash of watered down acrylic paint all over the helmet, really letting it seep into all of the cracks and recesses before wiping it away with a clean cloth. This lets the wash accumulate in all of the areas that dirt and oils naturally would. Rub and Buff was also used to paint the teeth and the front of the aerators for again a nice metallic look, and was dry brushed onto the sharpest corners of the helmet for a weathered edge, as well as all of the vents and details to really make them stand out a whole lot better. Now some tips that I have for realistic weathering is try and use more than one colour. Using more than one colour, which in my case was black and brown, really gives the weathering a lot more of a natural look. And you want the washes to be in the recessed areas and any chipping or dry brushing to be in any raised areas. Sort of like the raised areas have been nicked or scraped in battle and the dirt and oil has accumulated in the gaps. So moving on to the lenses were cut from an old visor that a friend of mine had lying around. He gave this to me about a year and a half ago and it's just been sat here waiting for a use ever since, and I thought that would be perfect for these lenses here. So I covered the visor in masking tape, which is very important. It stops the visor from shattering when it's cut. And be sure to wear eye protection when you're doing this, so when things can go wrong, and they will go wrong, you'll just be glad that you had eye protection on when shattered plastic is hurtling straight towards your eyes. With the masking tape on the lenses, I could also use the template provided by GalacticArmory, which I mentioned earlier, and trace this lens template onto the masking tape just using a pen. And then the visor was then cut to shape using a sharp pair of tin snips and just slot into place using the overlaps in the model that I mentioned earlier. So testing it out and seeing how the visibility was, and it's actually very easy to see out of these lenses, which is important because you don't want that to happen. On the inside, the gaps between the teeth were covered using some black PC fan mesh that I had lying around, and I just super glued this to the inside of the helmet. The blue lines on the jaw were just hand painted. Now, I'm not the best whatsoever with hand painting small details by hand, but luckily, as the lines were recessed into the helmet itself, I could be a little messier and just wipe away the paint from the surface, as long as I had the blue paint in the gaps themselves. And this is how they turned out. Finally, I just glued some upholstery foam onto the inside of the helmet for a snug fit, and some EVA foam to the top for some comfort. The same EVA foam was used to create a neck seal around the bottom of the helmet. Now, I've seen some images where the Stormtroopers do have this neck seal, and I've seen some where they don't. I just decided to add this onto mine because I just like the look of it. These were then sanded at a 220 grit just to round off some of the edges of the foam where it had been cut, and heat sealed with a heat gun to make them nice and smooth. Now, this neck seal was an afterthought, so when I was using the heat gun to seal the foam, I was kind of terrified of any chance of warping the PLA on this thing. So if you're going to do the neck seal, don't be like me and maybe plan a little bit better for getting the neck seal foam heat sealed beforehand. So I removed the lenses from the helmet temporarily, and all we need to do now is to clear coat the helmet with a few coats of Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear Gloss Clear Coat. Again, about 20 to 30 minutes in between the coats. I put 2 layers of clear coat on this helmet and it looks pretty fine. And now we can call that helmet finished. Now, I'm really happy with how this helmet turned out, and I hope that you really like it too. Let's have a look at some glamour shots.
It's a trap!
That's how I was able to put together this Stormtrooper helmet. I just want to say a huge thank you for making it this far into the video. If you've got any suggestions for what you'd like to see me build in the future, please leave them in the comments and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future uploads.